What's happening, ladies and gentlemen? Acronator here, and welcome to another Overwatch case study. It's been a little while since I put up one of these last week. It's busy with IRL stuff, and then later in the week, when I was gonna upload this, all the Blizzard lawsuit stuff versus the state of California came out, and I felt really awkward to upload this in the midst of that. It felt kind of tone deaf. And then this week, I was gonna do it on Wednesday. And then the Activision Blizzard employee walkout was scheduled for Wednesday, so I was like, you know what, let's just move it back to Friday. It's fine. Not in a rush anyways. It's been an awkward couple of weeks as someone who doesn't exclusively play Blizzard, but has definitely grown up playing a lot of their games. Either way, ignoring all of that for a moment, I guess being a somewhat more tame and reasonable voice in the sea of vitriol of Blizzard right now. In terms of just Overwatch League stuff, and the video topic that I actually wanted to cover for a while now, a couple of weeks, is the concept of, well, this is the wrong side of the map, but either way, the concept of, is Hanbin okay? No, the actual question is the Dallas fuel kind of falling off? Because if anyone watched the Summer Showdown final rounds, where they went to Hawaii, or at the very least Dallas did, Chengdu and Shanghai played from, I'm assuming just their facilities in Asia, but Atlanta and the fuel went to Hawaii to compete, and Dallas just kind of got rolled, in all honesty. They lost. This is the first game between them and the Hunters, the first round, and they lost this 3-1. Ironically, this is the one map that they won, which is kind of the main reason I chose it. I'll get to that in a minute. And then they lost this 3-1. They went down, beat Atlanta to move on to the next round. Shanghai had beaten Chengdu to send them to the lower bracket. Chengdu 3-0'd Dallas to get to the finals, and then Shanghai won 4-1, I think it was. So, like, the Asian region teams just had a complete read on the meta, and I think it was more than just the meta. I think it was very much just like Chengdu ascending to that higher level of play, whereas like Dallas are still incredibly good. But the question of this video I have is, like, are they still that force to be reckoned with? Are they still that top tier team? And I almost want to say no and yes at the same time. No, because they very obviously got shit on by the Hunters and Shanghai. Personally, if nothing else changes from right now, a few days prior to the Countdown Cup starting, and the overall playoffs for the end of the season, I'm fully expecting a Chengdu-Shanghai Grand Finals, and probably going to be Shanghai winning somewhat close. Like, Chengdu definitely has some fight in them, but in terms of, like, Dallas, you know, where they were winners of the May Melee, they were runners-up in the June Joust, and they just kind of, like, have been falling off since. And it's honestly hard to say specifically what, other than adaptability, right? That seems to be the name of the game right now in terms of what the Eastern teams, more specifically the Hunters and the Dragons, but a little bit to a lesser extent, you have teams like the Seoul Dynasty or even the New York Excelsior more recently, occasionally the Hangzhou Spark, but they're kind of on the lower end of this, where the Asian teams somehow, some way have been like ridiculously adaptable. And kind of harkening back to like season 2, I think it was, of the Overwatch League, where teams were commenting on San Francisco Shock when obviously they got sent down to the lower bracket and just like dominated their way up to the grand finals and just completely swept the Titans in the grand finals. A lot of the teams were commenting that the Shock were just so good at adapting to anything that you could possibly throw at them. And that reminds me a lot of what we're now seeing with the Chengdu Hunters, and Shanghai Dragons, and again, to a lesser extent, more of the other, like, middle of the pack to middle upper of the pack teams in the APAC region. And when you look at North America, you have very few teams that can adapt that well, right? Like, the Shock definitely can't adapt that well. They're still like an upper level team, but not like cream of the crop, so to speak. Atlanta adapts, but they're a lot slower, and they're always going to be playing second fiddle to APAC, if that's the case. The Fuel, for a while, were getting really creative, but in this meta, it felt like they were limited in what they were willing to adapt with. Like we saw in the June Joust, once Shanghai forced the Wrecking Ball composition just like started to work, and then obviously they perfected it this past month in the Summer Showdown, Dallas slowly lost control of the series. They're still really good. Like I'd place Dallas top 4 easily, but I don't know if they're top 2 anymore, and they're certainly not the best. Shanghai is just like transcended to the next realm. They're in a different dimension. They're playing like 9th dimensional chess at this point, where Dallas is still trying to play their 4-dimensional chess. The Fools. Anyways, this is the one map that Dallas won in this series. Again, like I said, this is the first round where Chengdu won 3-1, but they lost this map, and I believe it was 2-1, so Hunters actually won a singular round. I forget which one. Could be this one, could be the next one. Either way, I'm going to be paying a lot of attention to Dallas to sort of see what's changed in their playstyle. Like, is it literally just not adapting, or is it them trying to force something that's not optimal? You know, what's the situation? Because I think that'll give us a better understanding of what's going to happen coming into the Countdown Cup, where we're actually going to have hero bans. If I recall, it's Sigma and the tank. I remember that. I believe it's Echo, Ashe, and then Ana? Moira? I don't know, I could probably look it up. Actually, I should. Yeah, let me open that up on my phone real quick so I don't have to Alt-Tab. Where are... Okay, there you go. Countdown Cup. Hero pools. Lucio. Oh. Oh, dear. Why did I think it was Ana? Lucio is significantly more impactful to the meta. So this is going to be interesting. So yeah, it is Ashe, Echo, Sigma, and then Lucio is the support. Let's see. That doesn't change too much about what the Hunters and the Dragons were playing, because they could just play Brig with this exact composition and be fine. Probably swap the Ana to like a Baptiste. Brig Bap is pretty strong. Maybe even keep the Ana. Zenyatta could also work, although that you kind of have to play around your Zen. In that case, you have to enable them. Anyways, let's skip ahead to when the gates actually open, because Dallas... Oh, Jesus, they're already gone. Right, okay. So obviously Jinmu and the Pharah. It's basically... Okay. I forgot about that. The stream didn't catch it, so I'm curious what happened. He gets hacked. Bro... That's just one of those 1-2 punches. It's like, oh, well, okay, guess I'll die. Not really a disengage from... What the hell just happened? I was gonna say, not really a disengage from Chengdu either. Like, they lose their Wrecking Ball, but this composition doesn't really anchor around the Wrecking Ball. It anchors around the off-tank, in this case, Late Young. And then, that was mostly Jinmu, but Leave gets the extra bit of damage. Side note, if Leave keeps playing like he did in the Summer Showdown, he is MVP caliber, full stop. Like, he is starting to live up to his reputation from, I think it was the 2018 World Cup, if not 2017. One of those World Cups where he just, like, popped the hell off for Team China. And, like, everyone was so hyped when he was going to be able to play for Chengdu, and I think he, like, barely ever played in Season 2, and then, like, he didn't really play that much last season, and this season he's just, like, coming alive. Anyways, Fuel, because they took so fast for those fights, they didn't really get an opportunity to build up any ultimates. Sparkle's getting closer to his pulse bomb, but that's basically a cooldown. Same thing with Fielder's Coalescence, it's basically a cooldown. Whereas you look at Chengdu, and, well, they're kind of winning these fights without needing cooldowns. Did Leave... What? No, yeah, he did. Okay, I was gonna say, the animation didn't show, but he did actually get the EMP off. Okay, we're good, we're good. Like, keep in mind, they won that entire fight with just EMP. Mostly because Jinmu was just poking in, and the Fuel don't have a long-range hit scan, so as long as Pharah is the meta, which as we saw from both Chengdu and Shanghai, because Fleta was on Pharah a lot as well, actually took it to Jinmu, which, I mean, it can't be too shocked, it's Fleta of all people, but, like, the Fuel, until they get Pine, really don't have an answer. It's not great that Monk died there, but he got the Nano Boost off onto Jinmu of all people. Yveltal is using the Valk. We actually didn't get too much value out of the Valk, so Chengdu... Yeah, just looking to stall at this point. You can see Yveltal flying around. Actually does get forced out by Spark. I think that was one of the things the stream caught. And then they finally get the point over, mind you. Cost them both support ultimates and the Pulse Bomb, but granted, Coalescence and Pulse Bomb, like I said, are basically cooldowns. Chengdu invested a lot, besides its tank ultimates, but at the same time, they're in one fight territory. They could take one dry fight, build up both DPS ultimates, and probably at least half the way to their support ultimates. And then, draw out the Primal Rage, draw out the EMP, probably not draw out the bomb quite yet. And then, Hunters have like 4 or 5 ultimates online. Fuel have like 2. You just run in, press Q, and win. Or Jinmu can just find early picks again, because they have literally no recourse whatsoever. Unless Doha wants to go for a suicidal EMP. Right? He'd need to toss his translocator up. And then he has no escape after the EMP, so again, suicidal. See, Lee is already building up to his EMP. Probably not going to use it quite yet. Doha smells blood, but too many people around Monk. Oh, what the hell was that, Doha? This was ambitious. That was ambitious, to put it kindly. Let's watch that from Lee's perspective, see what he saw. Like I said, if he keeps up this level of performance, he's going to be an MVP candidate, but that wasn't exactly the craziest play from Lee's perspective, was it? Oh, and the return EMP. Salt in the wound. Yep. Losing Jexay. Not great. That's your entire movement capabilities. Jesus. Okay, yeah. Look at how split the fuel are right now. Like, they lost Jexay. Like, Doha's over here. Actually, no, I'm just going to do a focus check. So okay, Sparkle is... Spectator glitch. Sparkle's rotating. Doha is trying to hack Li Young out of Remech. Fearless is contesting the point and trying to taser Gaga. Hanbin is fighting Leave over here for some reason. Jexay's dead, like we said, and Fielder is also on Gaga. So you have 2 people on the same target. That's not particularly great. Let's take a focus check of... Okay, well, Leave is occupying Hanbin, but the Diva in this case is significantly more valuable to keep out of the fight than the Sombra. So Leave is actually getting more value here. Jinmu is on Fearless / Fielder. They're right on top of each other. Gaga is on Fielder. Late Young is remeching, but he's more or less looking at where Fielder was. Monk is chasing Sparkle away. But he's also in a position, like, here's the thing though, he's in a position where he can turn around, take 2 steps, and be healing whoever needs it, and Yveltal is right there, basically helping Late Young get the remech and Jinmu, if he needs it, has easy access. So, like, you can see the difference in focus right now between the 2. Now, in the past, Dallas has done really well to get value out of these split fights because they're individually mechanically insane. And they also have enough coordination to bring it back together when it matters, right? That's sort of the difference between them and like the Philadelphia Fusion, who have equally as mechanically talented players, but the Dallas Fuel have actually won things. Whereas Philly is always playing second fiddle, if not, in this case, I think it's like fourth fiddle, 'cause you have like NYXL, who's also starting to look pretty decent, come alive. Side note, if you're NYXL, don't change really anything about the roster. Just keep this current roster for Season 5. Get a little bit more synergy. The rookies get a little bit more experience, and I think they could be upper middle of the pack. Make some serious upsets. Anyways, Chengdu's already 99%. They didn't even use any ultimates that previous fight, mind you. So they're building up to basically 6. There's the Mines, the EMP, and the Valk right there. Doesn't really find too much besides Fearless, but now that Sparkle's gone, he had Pulse Bomb. That was a big win condition for them to try and get something out of that damage. Jexay uses Beat, but it doesn't save Hanbin. So now you can see, yeah, you got 3 of the EMP for Doha, but like, you were the only one left. So this is the one round that Chengdu wins, and that means Dallas has to win the other 2, because like I said, this was a 2-1, and Dallas wins this map. But either way, like, point still stands. Chengdu just flat out outplayed right? Now here's the challenging part. This point is not particularly great for the Pharah. But, that's fine. Because Jinmu, at the very beginning of the season, was who I considered to be the best Sombra in the world, although I think Leave is slowly taking that title because he's fucking nasty, dare I say. And then just running it down mid, and if you're the Dallas Fuel. This composition, however, it's being called 6-man now. I just call it like Shadow Dive or like a variant of Shadow Dive because that's the original name of it. I like 6-man because technically every comp is a 6-man. Doesn't really help you discern what it is. Either way, they're playing this very hyper-aggressive brawl with a Winston. Hunters made a few swaps, mostly the support line, and the DPS line is somewhat different because they can't really get away with the Pharah. Yveltal, however, is very diveable, as well as Monk. So that was just a really good... Actually, let's go back and see what Dallas saw. So that would be from Fearless's perspective. That is not Fearless. That is not Fearless either. There we go. Okay, so they just saw Yveltal out in the open. There's only so much that you can peel for the main support, especially when it's unblockable damage, as is the case with Fearless. I'd imagine Fielder was probably in there. Using the Grasp as well, primary or secondary fire. Biotic Grasp, that's what I was thinking. The other Grasp name that Sigma uses. Anyways, the Wrecking Ball compositions are a little bit awkward in this case, so Hunters are definitely playing an uphill battle. Because, what are you going to do once you get onto the point? The Wrecking Ball can't really do anything. They have to engage out in the courtyard, which does not make it easy, especially since you're still facing a Sombra, so that's free hacks for Doha. Just getting punished left and right. Hunters here are just kind of being out-comped. And I don't normally say out-comped, because when you're looking at anything that's not Contenders Trials or above, the teams are good enough where they can play their win conditions better. It doesn't matter what comp they're playing. I've seen teams that are completely meme comping the entire thing and get to top 16 open division, playoffs. But once you get to this level of play, best 4 teams in the world for this month, in this case it would be number 2 and number 3, composition does matter. And in this case, Chengdu just aren't playing a composition that fits the niche of this map. Again, it's very awkward for Gaga to do anything outside of this courtyard. This courtyard is great for him to engage, so if they can wrestle control of the point away from Dallas and then hold close out here, they're sitting pretty. But it's very difficult to actually retake the point with the Wrecking Ball composition. EMP from Jinmu, but he dies for it. Doha gets killed, though. Jexay's beat doesn't really do much. Thunder outside my window, don't know how much of that picking up. If the recording spontaneously gets interrupted, I'll be pissed then. Power goes off. Shit! Anyways, now you can see sort of the reverse of the previous round where it's just Dallas completely in control. As I say that, Chengdu are wrestling control of the map, but Dallas are beyond one fight territory at this point. They just need to win a singular fight. Although, they did waste literally every single ultimate. At the very least, Late Young has his bomb still. Side note, Late Young has done an absolutely phenomenal job of filling in the position of off-tank after Elsa went, retired, I think, if I recall. Because Elsa was looking like a top 3 off-tank in the entire league, and then Late Young comes in and really doesn't skip a beat, and again is still looking like a top 3 off-tank. That's pretty hard to do. That's a tough act to follow. Huh. Interesting. Back it up a little bit. I want to see how Chengdu defended this, because they didn't really take the fight in the courtyard. They decided to back it up to point. Obviously Gaga wasn't the engagement, but I want to see what the engagement was. Was it Jinmu and Leaf? Okay, so Gaga took a weird off angle. But that still wasn't really the engagement. It was just damage coming in from behind. It's also playing really on the edge. If you saw Monk and Jinmu's health bars are getting really low. And those are 2 characters you do not want to lose in this composition. Really good play from Chengdu. Very awkward, though. They're playing very claustrophobically over here, as opposed to if they took over here. Which it looks like they want to do now. Maybe? I don't know. Dallas is very weary that they wanted to fight in this courtyard, so they're taking longer rotations in the past. This is risky, because that's exactly where Gaga wants to be. Although it worked out. Yeah, Gaga just tosses in the mines. Another EMP, finds 3. No. Okay, that's a better EMP. That's probably going to be the fight. I don't know. I think Doha was over there. Didn't get caught by the EMP. Yveltal trying to one-man this. God, Yveltal brings us back. Now, Dallas win this map. I chose this specifically for this reason, unless I'm completely mistaken and they didn't win this, but I swear to God they win this. So, like, they have to win this next fight. Actually, I see how they win it. Ult economy. Late Young only has the bomb. So you can see, Hunters used literally everything. And now Fuel have beat, they're going to have bomb, they're going to build up to the Coalescence rather soon. Sparkle might build up to the Pulse Bomb if it goes on for a long time. However, Leave would also build up the Spawn. Engage with Beats, focus down Yveltal. Actually, no, focus down Late Young? No, Sparkle was just on Late Young, everyone else is on Yveltal, who backed up. But losing both tanks like that is a guaranteed fight loss, and Hunters don't really have the luxury of losing any more fights. Yep, and they don't even get on point. There we go. I'm not crazy. This is the map that Chengdu lost, and then they proceeded to sweep the rest of the series in a not particularly close fashion. Dallas did not look too pretty. And in this map, I think Hunters once again try to force the Wrecking Ball. Which is weird, because Gaga can play the Rhine. We saw it much earlier in the season. Yeah, they try to force the Wrecking Ball, but it's like, again, where do you find value as a Wrecking Ball? Like, on points, I guess, a little bit? I think they were trying to force it a bit too much to get Dallas out of their comfort zone. And it worked later in the series, but, like, you kind of have to play to the map, right? Like, this composition doesn't fill the niche that these close quarters maps do. Jexay being a god. Yveltal Battle Mercy, that brings me back to Season 2. Almost kills Sparkle, by the way. Almost. Not quite there. Either way. Really awkward fight from Hunters. Now you're seeing some swaps come in. The Reaper, I remember this, and thinking it was weird. The one nice thing is that it helps a lot with spy checking. But otherwise, it's out there. It's a very Jinmu-esque play. Pretty sure that's what the caster said too, that Reaper pick is the most Jinmu thing I could possibly think of. I forget who casted this game. I think it might have been Sideshow and Bren. I don't know what Fearless was doing there. I mean, I know he's trying to secure the kill on a monk, but like, get the hell out. They're not in your face. You just fed. Either way, they still hold control of the point. Although they did stack support ultimates, which isn't great. EMP, but it's only on the Gaga. He does die for it, but Fielder is probably dead. Never mind, Ring Around the Rosie works. Pays dividends, and Jinmu is very dead. Bro. Jexay was having none of it. Anyways. While Jinmu was on his little spiritual journey, the rest of Hunters were still not capturing control of the point. Yveltal uses Rally in what I would consider a losing fight. They don't really... The problem is they don't really have anything to turn it around. These are bleeding players left and right, and they're not really having any secured answers to these problems. This is like the third time Gaga has died in this fight. Because the Hunters just didn't disengage, and now they're fighting an uphill battle. They have Death Blossom, they have the EMP, as well as the Transcendence. But I mean, Doha is going to have EMP really soon. They can just aggressively EMP, especially because Monk already used. Oh dear. Yep, EMP, there you go. 4-man EMP, doesn't matter about the return EMP. Already lost. Okay. So yeah. Like I said before at the beginning of this video, is like, have Dallas fallen off? Absolutely. They showed a distinct lack of ability to adapt to these Pharah compositions. that, not just Pharah, but like the Wrecking Ball Pharah compositions that Chengdu and Shanghai really liked to play. And as a result, I don't know how much the microphone's going to be picking up the rain, but I assume at least a little bit. Let me point it away from from my window briefly. So it's angled somewhat there, and I'll move my chair a little bit. Anyways, right, Dallas showed a distinct inability to deal with the Wrecking Ball Pharah compositions, because they could deal with the Wrecking Ball, or they could deal with the Pharah using the Sombra, but they can't do both. Right, Doha can only spread so thin, and especially with Echo being banned. In the past, it was Doha and Sparkle on Echo that would deal with enemy Pharahs, at least in the North American region. Unless they get Pine in, which as far as I know, like he's not going to be available until like playoffs at the very earliest, if at all. Like I guess they could technically play with him on Ping, because Paris Eternal did that with Fielder last season. But playing Hitscan on Ping is a little bit ridiculous. Actually, I don't even know if Pine is in Dallas. I haven't seen any announcements from Dallas saying he is, but I could have completely missed that because I don't really follow the Fuel outside of, their game performances. So, I don't know. Looking to the Countdown Cup, I could absolutely see, and I kind of expect Dallas to be one of the top 2 teams, but once again, I'm expecting it to be Shanghai or Chengdu, or maybe like an upset New York or Seoul Dynasty coming to the Hawaii like knockout rounds and then taking it again. Like at this point, I'm kind of just expecting Shanghai to run away with the rest of the season, because they're going balls to the wall already. They just look unstoppable, and they have since the June Joust. I mean, they're the first team since Season 1 New York Excelsior to have back-to-back stage championships, which is insane. I didn't even realize that until the casters said it after the finals. And I just don't see how Dallas... Like, if Dallas can't beat Chengdu with 0 hero pools in play, I don't see how they're going to win without Lucio, which is very much... like, one of the biggest ways that they want to play is with Lucio. And then especially without the Echo. Right, like, I don't think the Sigma or the Ashe bans really affect Dallas coming into the Countdown Cup. I think that would affect teams like the Outlaws a little bit more, the other Texas team. I think it would affect teams like the Outlaws a little bit more. But in terms of, like, Fuel being top of NA, I could totally see it. I think they're, at this point, I'm pretty sure they're locked in for postseason playoffs, but I'm not sure how far they're going to go, because the second they run into an APAC team, what are they going to do? My fear is that they're going to roll over and die. Now, as much as I don't particularly like Envy for the way they've treated their Overwatch players in the past, like Rascal, Decay, etc., I at least want to see good games, right? I can at least get behind the Dallas Fuel's players, ignoring the org behind them. I liked seeing these close games, especially in the June Joust. Like, that was one of the best games of Overwatch I've ever seen in the Grand Finals. 7-map thriller that went the entire distance with this massive upset of, like, oh my god, the Dallas Fuel aren't the back-to-back champions, and all of a sudden it's just Shanghai running away with it, with Chengdu playing second fiddle, but a very, not particularly close second fiddle, but like close enough to make the match interesting. And then everyone else is just so far behind those two teams right now that it's like, who's going to win at the end of the season? Probably one of those two teams, or maybe I could see Seoul Dynasty or New York Excelsior playing the dark horse. Maybe Atlanta pulls it together. Probably not Atlanta, in all honesty. If anyone, it would probably be like the Washington Justice, or maybe the Outlaws. They gotta figure something out. The Outlaws. So yeah. Anyways, I think I've covered the topic I wanted to for this video. It's already going on about 30 minutes, about normal. Anyways, yeah. Dallas definitely still a top NA team, but top team in the league, I think they've fallen a little bit, but that little bit is probably going to cost them at the very end of the season, if not during the Countdown Cup. So anyways, yeah, that's all I've got for this week. Next week, hopefully Blizzard can stop shitting the bed and being a terrible organization, at least for 3 seconds. Can we have 2 consecutive days without any bullshit? But anyways, if you did enjoy this video, feel free to give it a thumbs up, and if you want to see more like it, maybe even subscribe. I'll try and get back to doing this every Wednesday, unless every Wednesday is just going to be when Blizzard shits the bed again. Anyways, that's all I've got, so until next time, don't die.